Hello everyone, today I'm doing a video on distress inks. Well, the things that I like to do with distress inks. There are plenty of videos on telling you how distress ink works, what it is exactly, and other things that you can do with it, but I'm going to stick to the basics, and the things that I like to do with it is basically working with the resist. I'm not going to show you that you can use distress inks to paint with, so like watercolor. Um, that's a thing that you can do also, but I'm going to show you the basics first, just a little bit, and then go and share the way it looks on different kinds of media. Well, with mediums. Yeah, that's how I should say it. So I'm just using a few colors. In these, I like these small ones. I do have the large ones, but these small ones hold the little sponges on the back, so that's very easy. You can see that I didn't spray too much water. That's why it looks a little bit dense or together. But if you spray more water, you get larger drops. This is a thing that one of the two things that I think everybody uses distress ink for. You can see I leave it wet and then I put a bit more distress ink on my little plastic, and then I go in with again. The way you spray it, with which bottle you spray it, how big the drops are on your page, that is varies, so you can just experiment with it. In this case I didn't have too much yellow, and the yellow that was already on my little card was a bit well, too close together. So I'm just going in with another layer. So we've got, you can just add and add and add whatever you like until you're happy with it. Distress oxides are there as well. I've sold them all because I don't use my distress inks often anymore, but these are years and years old and they still work beautifully. And this is the other thing that you see of that's been done a lot, and that's just use it with a little sponge and just put it on top of your card. So here I am filling in the white spots on my card. I do have a lot of re-inkers because those are very pigmented and I use them to watercolor with, or just use it as ink. But it's water soluble, of course, so you can do a lot of things with them. I might do a video on the use of the re-inkers. So this is my stencil that I'm working with today. You can also, as you see, use a little makeup sponge to do this, but I have this sponge lying on my desk, so I'm using it. Just putting my stencil on top of that card and go in with the pink again through a stencil, and you can see that it gets darker, a little bit of orange, and you can mix the colors that way as well and get different kinds of shadings or gradations or hues, so whatever you want to call it, on your card. This is just the two same colors that I've used from the beginning, but if you layer them and stack them, it gets darker and darker, so you can just play around with it. And then I was putting it away, and I was thinking, okay, there's another thing, just spray some water on your fingers and then just splash them on your card. And you can do this as well with a stencil and put a little bit of water through the stencil, and then it will lift up the distress ink from your card. That's the same that the whatchamacallit, there's a lift ink or something. Oh, I can't remember what it's called, but anyway. So just helping it along with my heat gun, and you can see there are white spots on my card. So just a quick play in showing you the basics. So now getting to my favorites. I am using a gesso, a very thin gesso with a makeup sponge, and then just put it through a stencil. Don't press too hard if you want an even layer of the gesso, otherwise it will seep through your underneath your stencil and you will get these rough edges. If you like, just do it. You can also just press it a little bit harder, and you can see there is a little bit of pink from the distress ink on my sponge, but don't mind, just putting it away to make sure it dries. So this is a texture spray from Ranger. I think it's transparent matte in this case, but you can use whatever you like. Modeling paste, that will work a bit similar as the gesso, and this works quite well as well. Basically you can use any kind of medium that you like, but the results will vary depending on what you use, like a matte or gloss or whatever. So just go and experiment with it. So I'm just going to put a little bit on my sponge and then just press it through this stencil. You can see that I colored the top of the card with that same yellow. It's wild honey. And then I go in with my what you would call I'm sorry, I'm just a bit tired. I shouldn't be doing this while I am a bit tired. It's too hot here in the Netherlands, and that makes me a little bit well, just tired. I said it 3 times now. It's my catalyst, that's how it's called. So, and now I'm using the leftovers to scrape through my stencil on my blotting page, and then I have a little card lying around. I'm just going to press it in that stuff because it needs to dry before I can do anything else. So just take my card and lift up the excess and just see how it looks later on. You'll see that in the end. So putting this aside, and then I dry my blotting page fully because I don't want any stuff underneath my other cards. So and now I'm going in with this is the one with the gesso, and I'm going in with a dark blue. I really love this. This is Faded Jeans, lovely blue color. And I'm just putting down a lot of ink. If you put down a bit more, or 2 or 3 layers, then it would get a bit darker, and I really like that. And then I'm using peeled paint to go underneath on the bottom of that card. Shabby Shutters will do as well. That's also a very nice green color. So pressing it down quite hard, I see. So then it looks like this, and then you get out your baby wipe. I'm using quite a wet baby wipe, and then I go over the spaces that were done created by the gesso, and then you see magic happen, like voila, it's white. And I really like this effect a lot. You can imagine if you use different kinds of stencil, you can create beautiful patterns, beautiful backgrounds in your art journal, and it's just so easy. Really liking this effect. Then I had this crinkly page, and that is done with its Distress Crackle Paste, translucent. And I used a palette knife to put it through a stencil, the same stencil, and then I let it dry, and then I go in with the same pink, and look how beautiful that looks. It's really, this stencil doesn't do the crackling that well, but really it was just an experiment, so I don't mind that much. So 2 layers, 3 layers of that color, and then I go in with baby wipe again and do the same, and then you see that wherever there is that crackle paste, it will lift off the color, and the cracks will keep the color that we put down. It just lightens up the spots just a little bit, and you see here how it looks. Pretty, isn't it? It's just a nice way to do something quick, and this was done with the texture paste. And if you this will be the same with the gel medium as well, so just it gives a nice and same effect because the texture paste is a little bit more textured. But if you want this effect that you'll see on top of that, the top side, well, I'm not sure what I just said or what I wanted to say, but you can see if you just put your baby wipe on it, it will lift off the color, and where we put down the yellow first, it will stay yellow, and we didn't put any color down on the lower part of that card, so that will stay white. So whatever color you put on first, that's the color that will appear when you go over it with your baby wipe. So that way you can create a nice background as well. And then this is the end, well, almost the end. We still had that little blotting card that I used to pick up that that modeling paste or whatever texture paste that I put down on my blotting page. And now I'm just going to use a black soot to go in. This is just really an experiment. I'm gonna keep it anyway because it did look quite nice. It's just black and white. But you can imagine if you put another color down there first and then put the texture paste to the stencil and then the black, then it will look very nice. Now this is it, everyone. I hope you liked this little, well, create a resist with distress video. If you did, just leave me a thumbs up or a comment, whatever you like, and I will see you next time with another part of what I like to do with. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye until then.